My name is Katelee McCormic and I'm from Dedito, Guam. I'm a health education major and I'm on the women's swim team. Growing up in Guam was great. It's like summer all year round. The furthest you can get from the ocean is 4 miles. So I grew up just really getting to be a part of the culture. I did cultural dancing for a really long time, all the way from elementary school through middle school. I got to just get to know everyone really well. Like, we would go to fiestas on the weekends and you just get to see all these people. And it was really like homey. Like, the entire island was home, and it's just a warm environment. Like, the temperature's warm, everyone there is really warm. It's like magical. Like, I got to grow up in a place that people go to vacation. So I got to grow up in paradise. I don't really remember much of living in the continental United States. Like, when we moved, I couldn't have told you where I was moving to. Like, oh, like, we're moving, and I was like, oh, okay, like, sure, works for me. Like, I couldn't even tell you how that whole thing worked. We ended up in Guam, and I was like, okay, like, sure. We got off a plane, and I was like, I didn't know that we were gonna spend pretty much the rest of my growing up there, but I got to travel all over the world because we lived there. Like, everything was just so close. So I got to go to Japan and Australia and Hong Kong, and I got to be in a science fair in India, and like the same way that people go to California or to Florida, I was able to go to a lot of different places and explore, both like hiking up big mountains, and I'm scuba dive certified. My mom's an instructor, so we got to go scuba diving. So I got to go into World War I and World War II wrecks, and I got to see like all of these things. So my childhood was so much fun. Like, my parents were really big on opportunities. And so instead of like a traditional like Christmas present, we went on a trip and we got to learn things there. I have family that were in the United States. My dad was in the military. That's how we ended up in Guam. And then we just stayed there, because who doesn't want to live in paradise? I really struggled my first year because everyone just kind of assumed that I knew what was going on, or because I had family that lived in the United States, that I automatically understood how America worked. And it was like, I was 4 or 5 when I moved away. Like, I don't know how many memories you have between the ages of 0 and 5, but they're probably not all that big in terms of like being now a freshman in college. Like, you've had so many other experiences. So it was just like, I just kind of was like, oh, I don't fit in here. Like, whereas like at home, like, I had my spot, I had everything that like matched with it, and everyone was so willing to kind of bring you into those things. And like, here I really had to figure it out on my own, because everyone's like, well, you should know what's going on. You look like you know what's going on. You have family that live here. And I was like, yeah, no, I have no idea. And my mom, she went to UConn, so I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna go to UConn. And someone at swim practice one day was like, oh, like, you do a lot of community service, you do a lot of stuff with other people, so you should really look at Springfield College. Like, you're really into that health science thing, like, area, and this is a really good place for that. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I really brushed it off. And when I came to look at schools, they were like, well, we're gonna be nearby. We might as well take like the 30-minute drive and go see what the school is about. And I just fell in love. I was like, they have the Humanics philosophy. Like, there's so many opportunities to do things that I already know and love doing, and I get to get out of my comfort zone. I love being at Springfield College. Like, everyone holds the door for one another. Everyone asks you how you're doing. Springfield College in general is just like its own space. Whereas like here at Springfield, I feel a lot of those same like home vibes, where everyone's like very kind to one another, everyone's looking out for one another, everyone's looking out for the best in other people, and so that's like super awesome to see. And like Springfield College itself, there's just so many opportunities. Like, we're a small school, so many people get to do all of these really awesome things. And so I've gotten really lucky that I've just kind of taken advantage of the opportunities to go to national conferences, to present at national conferences, to be a part of movements like the Vagina Monologues and SAVE, to be an RA, to get to do all of these things. I definitely found things that I was really passionate about and things that I enjoyed doing, both like inside of the pool and outside of the pool, and really just leaning into a lot of those relationships. I was able to kind of just find what worked best for me. There was a lot of trial and error, and I think like because I noticed that like so many people were like, oh, like, she should figure it out. In my head, I had this idea that I needed to figure it out on my own, which isn't the case. Like, I would definitely encourage people to use their resource and like ask questions if they really don't know. Like, it might seem really silly at first, but like somebody else probably has the same question. Or like, we have an international students kind of group now, like use those people, ask those questions, because it can feel really isolating and scary, especially when like the people that you used to go for everything, they're in a completely different time zone, so it's really hard to communicate with them. So like really just leaning into those relationships here and like finding those people who aren't going to be like, oh, you should know what it is, like that are going to take the time to like figure it out with you. My name is Katelee McCormic and my destination is Alden Street.